Hi, I'm Abby.
And I'm John, and today we're going to be talking about time management in the context of National Arrive Late to Something Day.
So actually, National Arrive Late to Something Day was yesterday, which is perfect for today because we've arrived late to it.
Exactly. So it was founded by the Procrastinators Club of America as like a publicity stunt to try and keep people noticing, new people coming into the club, noticing the club, right? A lot of the events that the club did were just for fun, so like funny things, so they had picnics in January because they were late for summer. Their calendars started in like March because they said you probably wouldn't get around to using it until then anyways. And like they put off membership dues for 2 years just because they said, we don't need them for now. Anyways,
I think one of my favorite things that we found about this club was the fact that they did a war movement, a war protest, of the War of 1812 and like 1947 because they hadn't gotten around to it. But like the next day they said that their protest was successful because a treaty had been signed, even though the treaty had been signed about 100 years earlier.
Yeah.
Whatever way you want to look at it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and then they did the same thing they went back to the company in Europe that made the Liberty Bell for the United States, and went back and said, hey, your bell cracked. We want to activate the warranty on that and get a new bell. Can you make us a new bell? And they said, the company basically responded, okay, well, if you return the bell in the original packaging, we'll be happy to make you a new one. Like, well, that's not happening.
I like how people also have a good humor.
Yeah, it's like,
this. People...
But they are actually standing outside the building, like protesting the fact that the bell broke. Again, over 100 years later. By that point, probably 200 years after the bell had actually broken. So the point being, newspapers would notice. People would read those, notice the club, and be like, I could sign up for that, right?
Right, but they wouldn't sign up the day that they read about it.
Probably
they'd probably
not.
Put it off and procrastinate doing it.
But for all the jokes and stuff that they made, there was also a serious note to it as well. The founder said that the whole idea of the Procrastination Club is to do things later and to know what the benefits are and to acknowledge the fact that everybody is a procrastinator to some degree. We just prove it. Some people view procrastination as a problem, and we don't feel that it's a problem. You and I are procrastinating right now. We try to educate people to procrastinate properly and enjoy life more, he said. Procrastination in the improper sense means that you never get anything done because you're worrying about all the things you're not doing. After all, there are very few things that can't be put off in life, except maybe breathing. And if it's any consolation, the majority of the club's members seem to be highly educated, professional people. So, I mean, obviously, he's saying, what he's referring there to is active procrastination, and basically, it's a specific tactic for deceiving yourself into getting tasks done more quickly and more efficiently. And basically, it was summed up by someone from Stanford wrote an essay about it. They said, basically, procrastination can be used to your advantage, and procrastinators seldom do absolutely nothing. They do marginally useful things. So like, he gave the example of, you're gonna sharpen pencils or something instead of working on your project. Oh, I'm sharpening pencils, it's useful, right? It's totally useful. You're giving that to yourself as an excuse. Well, his system is, instead of just finding random things to do, you have a list of all the things that you need to get done with the most important things at the top and less important things at the bottom. And then if you feel like procrastinating, you can do some of those less important things as your way of telling yourself that you don't have to get them done. So there's tasks that are still worthwhile to perform. So you're still always being productive. It's just a matter of you're gonna put off the big stuff for later, which is to some extent, it is the opposite of the advice that a lot of like time management books will give you, because a lot of people would say you have to do the big things first, and then you can have time for things that you enjoy or smaller things that are worthwhile, right? So
I had never thought about it that way. And as a list maker, as a list maker and a procrastinator, that's gonna be like a huge benefit to me in the future. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and the person who wrote the essay also said that you're trying to basically deceive yourself into thinking that you're always right at the edge of your time limit, that you have to finish this now, and that otherwise it's too late, or otherwise you're doomed, right?
Wow.
Basically. And he said, yeah, sure, that's hard, and self-deception is hard, but he said, but that's something that procrastinators typically are pretty good at, is deceiving themselves into thinking that they have too much time. So you got to do the opposite, basically.
As a procrastinator myself, I can say that I often deceive myself and think that I have way too much time on my hands, and I don't.
Yeah.
And that results in me running out the door every morning on my way to school.
Yeah.
So procrastination, so like this club put a lot of like benefits of the procrastination, but I did some more reading into it, and I found some things that procrastination can actually do to your mental health and to your mental well-being and everything. So I actually found that in a result of procrastinating, or procrastinating as a result of mental illnesses such as depression, multiple personalities, and bipolar syndrome. So I had no idea about that until I read about it, and that was astonishing to me.
I mean, I guess that makes a little bit of sense, because it's like, to some extent, with the multiple personalities thing, there's the deceiving yourself thing, right? Where you're fooling yourself into, with improper procrastination, like they were talking about, you're fooling yourself into thinking that you have too much time, and that, I can put that off another minute, I can put that off another day, right? But the opposite, you're fooling yourself into thinking, I have to do this now, it's the end, right? So yeah, you could almost call the act of procrastinate like time-shifted procrastination, where you're procrastinating, but you're procrastinating early. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
So like, you're setting an earlier due date than the actual due date, so that you're forced to follow that. So you can tell yourself you're procrastinating, but really you're getting it done earlier.
Yeah. Wow, that kind of hurt my brain a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Well, because it really is basically lying to yourself.
Yeah. But like you were saying, there are benefits of procrastination. Like
potentially, yeah.
Yeah, like when procrastinating, you're forced to live kind of spontaneously, and that kind of helps you get out of like your comfort zone sometimes. Because I feel like I'm a very like contrasting person, because I'm either procrastinating or everything is lined up exactly how I want it to be, and I think that always keeps me on my toes and keeps me going, I
think I'm both. I'm a bit of both of a procrastinator and a perfectionist. So like, obviously I'll put things off a little bit, but at the same time I could sit there and work on the same project for hours. And that oftentimes I feel like that's one of the reasons why I'll procrastinate, is because to some extent, I hate having to sit there for hours making it perfect like I always do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes I love it, but at the same time I like it. You know what I mean?
It's a
lot. I dread it, and I enjoy making it work perfectly. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain.
No, I completely understand that, because see, like when my parents are like, clean your room, I'm like, it's not time to clean my room yet. I'll procrastinate cleaning my room because I know that when it's time to clean my room, I have to go through everything and make it all perfect. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Use your time wisely. Don't be late like we were, and see you next time. I'm Abby.
I'm John.
See you next time.